We were sort of led to believe that Thomas Crooks was really a ghost,
Yeah,
that there was no motive that could be
it's
ascertained
wild.
from his online accounts.
It would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well if possible. He comes back and his last correspondence was, "I got you covered." When I jumped down on him, he had doll's eyes. And so I was like, man, these are wounds incompatible with life. You've seen some of the idiocy out there. Palm gun, exploding microphone, hand signals.
Isn't it crazy, guys, that we were told that Trump's shooter, assassin that tried to take him out, had no social media presence, but all of a sudden now it's everywhere. He totally had social media. He totally was using that. He totally wrote stuff about Trump. It's crazy. So we're going to be reacting to Fox News here, and then we're going to go to a clip from Shawn Ryan talking to Charlie Kirk's bodyguard. All of this is so crazy. So let's get into it.
The would-be Trump assassin Thomas Crooks raising serious questions about whether federal agencies missed red flags before last year's shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania. The New York Post's Miranda Devine reporting that a source reviewed 17 social media accounts tied to Crooks, revealing an extensive online footprint the feds have not openly discussed. Crooks allegedly used they, them pronouns on the platform, posted years of violent rhetoric, and flipped from pro-Trump to openly anti-Trump in the months leading up to the attack. One former FBI agent telling Devine if they have investigated that kid, there's a record of it, and there's an assessment that some leader made that was not a threat, or it rose to a level and they did something else. New York Post columnist Miranda Devine joins us now. Miranda, welcome to you. Seems that you've got some pretty big findings here. What have your sources revealed to you?
Thanks, Sandra. Well, they've told us that there was actually a very large digital footprint left behind by 20-year-old Thomas Crooks, who was Donald Trump's would-be assassin last year in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's quite a different story to the one that Christopher Wray and his deputy Paula Bate told Congress just in a couple of weeks after that assassination attempt.
Like, why would they lie about that? That makes no sense. It's so confusing. And to think all of these guys are just literally, I feel like incels in a way that want to take out people. I mean, they're marginalized. This is why as Christians, we got to be speaking out and also share the love of Jesus, help people feel seen and heard, and hopefully through that they will feel like they don't need to take someone's life.
We were sort of led to believe that Thomas Crooks was really a ghost, that there was no motive that could be ascertained from his online accounts. And yet a source has provided us with a lot of information from 17 different online accounts that Thomas Crooks had, and they range from, Google Play to that site you referenced before called DeviantArt, which is probably the biggest or one of the biggest hubs online for this sexual fetish called furries, where people dress up or fantasize about animal characters, cartoon characters that are sort of humanized. And so it's very bizarre, but we also saw that with Charlie Kirk's killer, alleged killer Tyler Robinson, who was also involved in this bizarre furry culture. So there's not a lot that my source discovered on those lines, but there was a little bit. The fact that this guy, Thomas Crooks, was interested in this furry site, spent a lot of time there, had various images that he liked and reposted, and also
what's up with all these guys in furries? Lord help us.
Pronouns as they, them. But I think the more important part is what the comments, his online comments from, he was very young, 15, 16, 17, show us about how he became increasingly violent and sort of radicalized against Democrats. He was pro-Trump. And then in January of 2020, he flipped 180 degrees.
Wow.
Something happened to make him become rabidly anti-Trump. And again, his rhetoric took more and more of a violent turn. He started brushing up against, there was a neo-Nazi by the name, fake name probably, William Tepes, who started encouraging Crooks in more and more violent rhetoric. And then suddenly something happened in August of 2020 and he just disappeared online. Very unusual. And then, of course, in July of 2024, he fired off 8 shots from a rooftop at Donald Trump at that rally in Butler, killing Corey Comparatore, who was sitting behind Donald Trump, and badly injuring 2 other rally goers, and hitting Donald Trump in the ear.
So he did have some social media presence, and apparently after about 4 years, he went ghost. Like, was he planning this for 4 years, or was there something else going on?
By a miracle, did Donald Trump not get killed that day?
Wow, and he certainly is unsatisfied with the answers President Trump is that he has been given about the circumstances that led up to that moment that day. Here is the former FBI Deputy Director Paula Bay on Kirk's social media. This was July 2024. Listen here.
There were over 700 comments posted from this account. Some of these comments, if ultimately attributable to the shooter, appear to reflect anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes, to espouse political violence, and are described as extreme in nature.
So in your revelations, you say thanks to this enterprising source who uncovered Kirk's hidden digital footprint, that we can see that he was misleading Congress by omission because he left out an entire section of Kirk's online interactions from January to August of 2020, when he did that ideological backflip that you just described and went from rabidly pro-Trump to rabidly anti-Trump and then went dark, never seeming to post again. I mean, I look at the vastness of his online presence: YouTube, Snapchat, Venmo, Zelle, GroupMe, Discord, Google Play, Quizlet, Chess.com, Quora. I mean, he was everywhere. So what are your sources revealing about what the former FBI director was sharing publicly to Congress in that moment?
Well, it really is inexplicable now that we see that evolution of Thomas Crooks from being pro-Trump to anti-Trump. It's inexplicable that Paula Bay would give only that first part of the trajectory for the would-be Trump assassin. And, you know, it just led Congress and led the public to think something different about Thomas Crooks than was the reality. I don't understand why Paula Bay would do that. And I think it would be good if Congress could bring him back and ask him why. I think the president and people close to him are understandably frustrated or unsatisfied. And I think the public is unsatisfied with the answers that we've been getting from the FBI, including in the, Donald Trump FBI. We would expect it under Joe Biden, I guess, but there's no reason now why Senator Ron Johnson has had to subpoena the current FBI under Director Kash Patel.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Why do they feel like they need to hide this stuff? It's like you could literally find videos of him practicing shooting stuff. So now I want to go to a video of Charlie Kirk's assassin finally exposes and shares what actually happened during that time.
Why is the First Amendment so important? Because back in the day when our founding fathers said, man, why do we need this amendment first? And because a voice is an arms for people that don't have arms. That's what it was for. It was a collective or a single voice could be powerful to a hierarchy of people that can't be conquered with an arm. So we have to have this voice, and we have to protect this voice at all costs. And they said, and they wanted us to have that. And that's why they put it first. And it should be used as a shield. Well, nowadays, with the media and now social media, that right has been used as a sword. And the sword of public opinion. It's like, hey, well, let's just put a bunch of lies out there and claim First Amendment. And we can say whatever we want. And it's like, when's that stop? And literally whatever you want. You've seen some of the idiocy out there. Palm gun, exploding microphone, hand signals. It's like, it doesn't even have to be true, and it doesn't matter. And so you're just using that First Amendment as a sword and not a shield. And we gotta step back at that and look at it. I was talking to your guys earlier, and I was like, at some point you put those people in the Wayback Machine. And the Wayback Machine is you take them to 1985. And when people said something that was untrue about you or your family, and they said something bad about you that other people heard, you split their lip.
There's a consequence.
An immediate consequence. Not a consequence that comes through a lawsuit 3.5 years later, an immediate consequence, so that a level of respect is gained. And then also, hey, if you do this again, I'll see you next time as well. And at some point, some people need to be put in the Wayback Machine.
Definitely not going to disagree with you on that one. So let's talk about the immediate response. Let's get back to that.
Yeah.
Could you tell it was gunfire?
Yes.
How could you tell?
I've been around gunfire my whole life. That's the first one. And so, and there's a different type of gunfire, right? We were at Berkeley last night, and you heard somebody decided to pop off some bunch, and they were loud, like 6, 7 M80s at a time, and people started panicking and running. And one of my guys, look, I said, that's not gunfire. It's a different sound. You have an attribution of sound, and so you're used to it, and having a range, and so you're around it, and you even get to like, well, that was a rifle, that's a pistol, that's a big boy rifle, that's
It's pretty easy. Like growing up around guns, going hunting and stuff like that. It's pretty easy to differentiate the differences.
I mean, you can PID all those with your ear. You know, I'm no sniper, but you're out there hanging out with those guys, and you get that sniper's ear pretty quick because they say, "Oop, hear that? That's what that is." And so I've got my back to Charlie about, I don't know, less than 10 meters off to his right, and my area of responsibility. We had a lot of people coming up some staircases there, and it was starting to fill in. And so I was watching that, and I remember I heard the gunfire, and then I don't know if you've heard this, but I heard that bullet slap him. And so you hear two sounds, actually. And so you hear the actual shot, and then you hear the bullet hit him in the neck. Like you hear it. And so in my head, I had an attribution to that. Oop, I know what that is. And so I turned, and when I turned, started running, that's when Dan grabbed him. And I mean, this is a live fire event. It's not, everybody thinks in hindsight, well, this is a one-shot assassination. No, in our heads, there's fire.
You don't know what that is.
There's fire. There's more to come. Right, and so Dan grabs Charlie, and then
who's Dan?
Dan was the guy standing right next to Charlie when he got shot on the stage, and then I was to the right of Dan.
Okay.
And so he grabs him, and then I turn and see him start to the ground, but then I'm just thinking gunfire. And then he's leading to the ground because I'm on his right, where he was shot right here in the left of his neck. And so I jumped down on top of Charlie to cover him, because where we're at, it's concealment at best. It's a tabling with cloth on it, so it's not hard cover. Wow. Our guys are starting piling back in, and they're down, putting a human shield around him, but it's still just concealment. It's not cover. And so I initially dove down on top of him and just was on him almost face to face. And then when I was doing that, I went down, I could see the wound. And so I immediately shoved my hand into the wound to stop the bleeding, just trying to find the pressure, and it was coming out.
Dang. This is so sad and difficult to hear. To think that so many people just want to come up with all of these conspiracies and say, this is not true. All his team was out to get him. It was all a cover up. It was an inside job. And I'm just like, man, there are people who are hurting right now that had to go through that. I'm sorry. I'm not going to jump on this conspiracy.
And I'm on top of him, like close. And it was still coming out enough that I guess it squirted through my fingers and I could taste it on my lips.
Yep.
And so I was like, man, this is a bad wound, right? And so I was just pushing that, and I don't know at that time. I know when you look at the clock, I was on him within 5 seconds and had my hands in him. And then I don't know when I put the first piece of medical on him. It was sometime after that, because I carry it right here, and that's why you carry it on you. You got to have it there. So, but then I remember pulling back away and thinking, damn, this is bad. Like it's coming out. And I don't remember saying this, but the guys told me, and you can kind of see it on the video. I said, prep the car. And I just prepped, and you see the two guys just take off. And that car's prepped in position, but what I mean, doors are open, I mean, the whole deal. And then so we're doing pressure control there, and it's a carotid artery, so you can't put a tourniquet on it, obviously. And in my head, I'm like, pack pressure, pray, man. These are what you can do for that wound. But then, so I'm on top, and then I told the guys, we got to exfil. We're all out here in the open. We're trying to give wound care, and we got to get off this X, right? And so, but I just said, we're exfilling. And so we got up, I think it was like 15, 16 seconds from the time the shot happened to the time we were picking him up and headed.
15 to 16 seconds?
That's what it was, yeah. And so...
That's fast.
Yeah, and this is horrible, but...
It's fast to get an initial assessment, plug a hole, pick them up, move them.
Yeah, and so it's just like, dang. And it's some horrible realities of it, too, that, like, I told the guys this, and I haven't... When I jumped down on him, he had doll's eyes. And so I was like, man, these are wounds incompatible with life.
Dang.
You knew.
That's so sad. That's the reality of it. Can't imagine what it would be like to go through that. Someone that you care about die right in front of you to that extent. Be murdered. So we got to be praying for all those people who have been impacted by that. And this is a sad reminder that one day we will meet our maker. You will meet your maker. Not any day is promised. Not any time is guaranteed. That's why we need to have a relationship with Jesus. This brings up some very, very sad accusations. Charlie Kirk's head of security says that he talked to the chief of police in Utah area, and they said that they would have the place covered and all the rooftops covered, and he exposes it for not actually doing it.
We have some correspondence with the chief of the school on that day, on Monday before Charlie was killed. And why this hadn't come out and why he won't stand up like a man and admit this, I don't know. But he's watching a bunch of men lose their careers, and he's okay with it. On Monday before, this correspondence went to Chief Long. Hello, Chief Long. We received this message today from the student group. There is a student roof access pretty close to where CK will be set up at the Utah Valley. The Sorensen Center has a couple of staircases that go up to walkways on the roofs. He comes back, and for edification, the Sorensen Center was the building in front of the Lucy Center. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof. and came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well if possible. He comes back and his last correspondence was, I got you covered.
He says, I got you covered. Wow. Who would have thought this whole time he was probably thinking everything's going to be okay? Dang, that is so messed up. I can't imagine him probably constantly thinking about, like, what if I would have just sent one of my guys there to watch the roof, to watch the access point? That is so sad.
What else am I to do? When a command level person from an accredited police department says, I've got this area.
Jeez. Have you been in who is that?
That was the chief of police for the UVU police department.
Wow.
We've called him. He's never called us back.
Holy.
Dang. So they tried to
Does
get
he
in
have a
contact
name?
with.
Yeah. Chief Long.
Chief Long.
And I didn't know if it said deputy in that or not, because in the correspond or in his stuff on the website it says Deputy Chief Long, but we just called him Chief Long. So it's
Like, who was he talking to? Like, that makes you think, like, why in the world was that not there? Who did he just forget? Did he just think, oh yeah, no problem? Like, all of these places just seem very, very fishy.
Yeah, I got guys that are 10 times more qualified than what he could have produced for us, probably.
So literally all they had to do is post anybody at that stairwell.
Stairwell,
Or
roof,
put a drone up. Or
let us.
let you do your job.
Or let us. You know, our team is built.
Would it be okay if we put that
Sure.
screenshot of that text
Absolutely.
up for everybody to see?
Absolutely.
So they know it's real?
Yeah, absolutely. And do a FOIA for his phone.
That's a good idea.
Do a FOIA. Do a FOIA for his phone and have those records put out so everybody can see them.
Wow.
Do a FOIA for the communications for days leading up to it. Do it. And the truth's like a lion. You set it free and it'll fight for itself.
What am
That is concerning. Like, man, why is this guy not saying anything? Why is he not responding? Wow.
favorite sayings? Last question before we take a break. I just want to ask, were you understaffed or I mean, was anybody sick? Did you have what you needed?
Yeah, we usually had
This
been...
was the same as every other event.
No, we upped it. Yeah.
You upped it.
Yeah, we upped it. We usually would run 8 to 9, depending on how many movements and how much movement inside. And so based on no articulable threat, but just the current world situation prior to that day, we upped the manpower to 12. And then we had actually a 13 there that came in the drive party. And so, but yeah, we upped it based on nothing, because it's like, all right, that we're in a kind of a place where we don't want to be. We're expecting a big crowd. It's the first one. We don't want to get behind the 8 ball. In security industry, it's a prevention industry, not a response industry. It is a response industry, but it should be a prevention industry. So we're there in the prevention model. And so you can see, if you pull the schematic up, the placement I put for our guys. And on that day, thank goodness we had them, because where the tent was that Charlie was under, there's a giant walkway above him. And when we were doing the walk that morning, one of the things that didn't come out in our advance was there was giant rocks that they use for architectural design all around there. And so we're seeing these rocks on the ground, and it's like, oh, people can come by and pick up these rocks and then throw them down on us and throw them down on Charlie. And so we did a temporary criminal trespass zone right above him on that bridge walkway so that people couldn't come in it and throw rocks.
That's insane. Like, to imagine, you're probably thinking when you build these, like, architects, you're thinking, oh, that would be cool. You can look over it and watch people, perform or play or speak. But in other cases, just becomes a access point to do the most heinous crimes. That's sickening.
On them. And so, but the problem is that we had to get PD units in here to take that area of responsibility. And we told them, hey, just like out there, we need you here to have oversight coverage because, one, it's a tape line. It's not a hard, wall or anything. And so you need statutory authority under Utah law to say, hey, you can't come in or you can be arrested. And so the PD came and did that. And then we had one, Scott, that did a hellacious job on making sure they stayed there and did their job. And so, thank goodness we brought extra people. Mm-hmm. And so we upped our manpower for that one. Due diligence was done. It's weird in the security industry. I get calls all the time, and they're like, hey, we want to run a security detail, and we want, 10 guys that are former SEALs and operators and SWAT guys, and we want up-armored and this and this. And then I'm like, all right, here's what it's going to cost. And they'll call back, all right, we want one guy and a Toyota Sienna, and so it's budget's a factor.
Yeah.
And we eat a lot of money every year based on, hey, last minute non-approval of people, but let's bring them in just to save our asses. Mm-hmm. And that's a regular thing. And so, yeah, we had people for our assignment, and our assignment and our people's assignment was carried out meticulously. I mean, you had Dan next to Charlie, and Dan's only job is exfil. And you can see when Charlie got shot, within 2 seconds, Dan had his hands on him to push him down to the ground. And then within, when you break it down forensically, like within 5 seconds, I was on top of Charlie. And then you saw our team actually doing exactly, falling back on top of him and collapsing back on top of him. Not one radio comms came out.
Yeah, that is so messed up. Imagine if they had someone by the roof. That entrance area, man. Anyway, guys, I hope you all continue to trust in Jesus and know that he is good and that he loves you so much and he's longing to have a relationship with you. Put him first. It will be the best decision you could ever make. Anyway, guys, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. And always remember, guys, Jesus loves you.